SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Today we have ourselves quite a show, as we have a lot to get to in the world of Southern California sports, such as college football being back in Division I. USC has an uphill climb against LSU, UCLA plays Hawaii, and San Diego State plays Texas A&M Commerce. But the biggest matchup might be in the FCS, where Cal Poly and San Diego renew their rivalry and lock horns with one another. Speaking of football, on the football side of things, LAFC fell to the Columbus Crew again. This time it came in the League Cup final. Unfortunately, it just wasn't meant to be, but LAFC did bounce back to beat Seattle Sounders in the U.S. Open Cup to advance to the final of that. Also, they are back in MLS play. Speaking of MLS play, the Galaxy managed to get back on track in terms of their schedule with a 2-0 win over Atlanta United. And we have a big series between the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks as NL West supremacy is on the line. All that and more here on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. This is Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on iSports Radio. Your direct feed for all that is sports. And welcome one, welcome all to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Thank you all for joining me on this beautiful Friday afternoon, Friday evening, Friday wherever you are listening from. Either way, you've made your way to episode 191 of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. And without any further delay, let us begin. But first and foremost, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show would not be where it's at without IE Sports Radio providing the platform to go live on StreamYard. Please do follow IE Sports Radio on several different social media platforms such as X, Instagram, Facebook, especially Facebook, and on TikTok. And definitely follow us on our YouTube page, iSports Radio. Subscribe to us, and you will get alerted of when we will be going live and when new episodes will be dropping. We also are partnered with several different podcast platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music /Audible, Castbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, GeoSavin, Podchaser, the list goes on and on. And we also have a website, iSportsRadio.com, for all of your latest sports news, our blog, our page is dedicated to each podcast, such as the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. And we also have a merchandise shop where you can cop one of these t-shirts, as well as some tank tops, some sweaters for the winter, some hoodies, and other IE Sports Radio swag. For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content, ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel, to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Thank you to everyone for all of your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that sports. The way you can follow the SoCal Supreme Sports Show on social media is on X, formerly known as Twitter, at SoCal Show IESR. And you can follow me, Teran Rodriguez, on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Teran Rodriguez1. Before we get on into the SoCal sports side of things, let us pay homage to our sponsors, Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, Seal the Deal Wax Seals, and let's also discuss what IE Sports Radio is all about. So here we go.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
That's right, everybody. Definitely check out all of our sponsors as well as IE Sports Radio's website. And just to let you all know, Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky is the official jerky of the California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm. So I stand by it. There's their Instagram, Planet Jerky. And the way you can order their jerky is on planetjerky.net. And then for Seal the Deal Wax Seals, their Instagram is down below at Seal the Deal Wax Seals. And then the way you can order from Seal the Deal Wax Seals is right down below. So it's going to give you all one last quick glimpse of the ticker from right there. All right, we're done. All right, but thank you to our sponsors. All right, now let's get on into the SoCal sports action. So I do apologize for missing last week. So this was about like at 11 a.m. sometime when I got home. I think it was like at noon. I actually just got home, and I was not feeling like myself. I was just feeling out of it. I was feeling a little dizzy. So I thought turning on the AC would help. It didn't really help me all that much. And then 2 hours before my show, I was just feeling clammy and whatnot. And believe it or not, I actually barfed. I tossed my cookies. I'm sorry to those that were eating and whatnot. And unfortunately, I got sick. I just needed rest, and I just felt and the room, I was still feeling a little dizzy after that. So unfortunately, I just could not do the show last week. So I do apologize for missing last week's show. I hope y'all can forgive me. I tried to do it, but I just felt I just could not push myself, especially since I had my second job. But it is what it is, and I'm here now. So thankfully, I'm here to deliver you all the SoCal sports goodness. All right, now let's get on into the SoCal sports action. So we got to discuss a little bit of NFL because the Chargers and Rams are back in action in 9 more days. So the Chargers had their last preseason game where they beat the Dallas Cowboys 26-19. So nice win there, but again, it's just preseason. We don't care about that. And thankfully, it was the Chargers' lone preseason win, as their other 2 losses came at the hands of the Seattle Seahawks and the LA Rams. But this time around, the Chargers wound up beating the Cowboys 26-19. The Chargers pretty much led wire to wire. The Cowboys did make a nice little comeback with Trey Lance, but unfortunately for the Cowboys, the Chargers were able to slam the door on them. And thankfully for Chargers and their lone few fans, they were able to pull out the win. So great job to the Chargers on the win right there. I feel they are coming along fairly nicely. I'm not really the type of guy who goes over like depth charts or anything of that sort, but I will say, as long as Justin Herbert is still on the Chargers always have a chance. And I know they lost quite a bit to free agency and whatnot, but I think the Chargers still can be very sneaky. I apologize if I haven't been able to get into the chat room, as Mikey Two Guns popped into the chat room, and Chad saying, "Hey Teran," and then Chad Schrader said, "I just subscribed to your channel. Thanks from a Cardinals fan." So thank you, Chad, for popping into the chat room and subscribing to iSports Radio. With your help, we will continue to grow and be better at everything we can be. And then Jen B says, "Have a great show, Terrence." Thank you very much. And I'm glad to be back on air after a week hiatus where I unfortunately got sick out of the blue. But I digress. So the Chargers actually had themselves quite an eventful week last week, this past week, as they actually traded for Atlanta Falcons backup Taylor Heineke for a 7th-round pick. Now, it could be a 6th-round pick if conditions are met. But for the time being, the Chargers have a new backup in Taylor Heineke. Now, this is a massive upgrade from Easton Stick. I'm sorry to Easton Stick, North Dakota State's finest, but he's not good. I can't express it any more than it needs to be. He's not good. We all saw what happened in the Raiders game. Even though he almost led the Chargers to a win over the Bills, we saw what happened there. He's not a good backup. Taylor Heineke is a fantastic backup. Washington Commanders or Washington football team legend right there. So for the Chargers, getting this backup is great, and they finally don't have the worst backup in the league. I'm not saying that Taylor Heineke is going to take the Chargers to the Super Bowl. That's Justin Herbert's job. But thank the Lord, the Chargers addressed their backup quarterback. Their backup quarterback room, which I think is good. So all in all, for this is good, and I'm glad Joe Ortiz was able to address it. He's actually done some good work for the Chargers as the new GM, because remember, Tom Telesco was sent packing after that famous Raiders game. So that's the next. And speaking of the Raiders, that's actually a perfect segue to go into the Chargers' first game of the week being against the Raiders. So my thing for the Chargers is this. I'm not going to go too full in depth on this preview. Y'all thought I was going to give y'all a preview of it. I'll probably go in depth. Well, actually, I'm still uncertain about next week on if I'll go live, but we'll see. I mean, I think this is a 50-50 game. I think the Chargers and Raiders are interchangeable when it comes to the AL or AFC West. I think for me, the Chargers and Raiders are probably going to have like an instant classic, and it's probably going to be decided in the fourth quarter. So time will tell. I probably will have a full in-depth preview on this next week, or I'll probably do some clips on that matchup. And you can expect to see it on X, formerly known as Twitter, at SoCal Show ISR. But I think this is going to be a great week one game. So time will tell what happens and whatnot. But some news that popped up for the Chargers before the show went live is that the Chargers extended Cameron Dicker, or as everyone calls him, Dicker the Kicker. So he received a 4-year extension worth $22.04 million, and he gets $12.5 million guaranteed. Now, for those that don't know, or for those that have been living under a rock, Cameron Dicker has been money ever since his game-winning field goal in Atlanta 2 seasons ago. So I think this is great that the Chargers locked up their kicker. He's actually one of the top 5 kickers that have been paid in the NFL, ahead of Evan McPherson and Graham Gano. So I think only Harrison Butker and the Ravens, Jake Tucker. Is that Justin Tucker? I'm sorry, not Jake Tucker. Justin Tucker. I'm thinking of someone else named Jake. But I'm guessing Justin Tucker and Harrison Butker are higher paid in terms of being kickers than Cameron Dicker. But this is big right here. The Chargers have an actual kicker who has been lights out in terms of point afters and who has been lights out for the most part in terms of field goals. He might have been probably the biggest bright spot for the Chargers last season, and that's saying a lot. And I really hate that he was not named a Pro Bowler. I think that is complete criminal that Cameron Dicker was not named to the Pro Bowl. I think that is absolute asinine right there. And you all know how I felt when I found out that Cameron Dicker was not a Pro Bowler. I am still straight blood boiling over that. But I digress. But Cameron Dicker deserves every penny. The dude has been amazing, and he has been the savior for the Chargers' kicking woes. And hopefully he can catch some Carrie Underwood concerts after this whole season and whatnot. But that's basically that for the Chargers. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the news. I'll have the full preview if I go live next week. Maybe I might just do a little bit of a quick recording on Spreaker to preview just the Chargers and Rams and whatnot. So we'll see what happens. Now, as for the Rams, speaking of the other LA team who apparently is actually LA's team, Kablamo. So the Rams basically had their final preseason game. They're actually 2-0 going into this game, but they fell to the Houston Texans 17-15. Again, it's just preseason. Don't hit the panic button, everybody. It's not over. The world isn't going to end. The sky is not falling. Just please don't stress about this loss. Anyway, so in the game, Zach Evans had 2 rushing touchdowns, and he paced the Rams offense with 45 rushing yards. But in this game, the Rams actually started Dresser Wynn at quarterback. Now, you would think with that name, he would be leading the Rams to the win, but unfortunately, he may want to change his last name. That was bad. But yeah, I've never even heard of this Dresser Wynn guy. But it looks like Stetson Bennett is going to be the backup going forward for the Rams. I feel that he is the best backup. Jimmy Garoppolo has been struggling. I mean, on paper, Jimmy G should be the backup, but Stetson Bennett has been looking flashy in terms of training camp and whatnot. So if he's the one that becomes the quarterback 2 and Jimmy G has to be quarterback 3, or if he still is on the team for that matter, then so be it. But overall, as long as Matthew Stafford is alive and kicking, then the Rams are probably going to have their quarterback, and he's not going anywhere. The Rams just have to keep him healthy. That's all. Because last year, it was pretty tough not seeing him 100% healthy. Obviously, getting injured in the Cowboys game, that hurt. And then missing the Packers game, even though I think that was a lost cause, that really hurt right there as well. So I think for the Rams, as long as they're healthy in most of their key positions, I think they will be just fine. But I will discuss the Rams a little bit later on in the show. But their first game is against the Detroit Lions in a rematch of last year's NFC wildcard game, which the Rams unfortunately dropped by 1. But for the Rams, this is going to be a fun game. There's a reason why it's the Sunday night football game, because there's a lot of storylines going on. Matthew Stafford returns to Detroit again, and Jared Goff will be facing his former team again. And it's a rematch of last year's wild card where it was a barn burner. So my thing is, for the Rams, can the secondary lock up the Detroit Lions offense? That still remains to be seen, but it's a time will tell process, and I'm hoping that the Rams, for their sake, they do pull out the win. I think it's doable, but it's going to be a tough and rumble matchup. Well, that's pretty much that for the Rams and whatnot. They weren't really in the news too much. I just know that Matthew Stafford is pretty much ready to go for week 1. And I don't think anyone else has a glaring injury. My only thing is, I guess, for the Rams, when they lost to the Houston Texans, is that Josh Carty missed a point after. So I hope that's not a sign of things to come. But he did make a field goal early on in the game. So I think for the Rams, I think their kicking woes should be a thing of the past. It has to be. I don't know who else they could sign, but we'll see. All right, but that is that for the NFL portion of the show. Now let's keep it going. Let's keep the football train going and go to a little college football. So college football is back in SoCal. The 3C2A obviously is back. I'll be discussing more on that with Larry B tomorrow on 3 and Out College Edition. But the big story is the FCS and FBS being back. So the week 1 games regarding the FBS, UCLA plays at Hawaii. San Diego State is home against Texas A&M Commerce. And number 23, USC, the only ranked team in SoCal, plays at number 13, LSU. But also, a big matchup in terms of Southern California football is Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo, taking on the University of San Diego. And that's always a nice little friendly rivalry matchup. Those two teams love to face one another in week 1, and I don't blame them. And I think Cal Poly is going to be pretty dynamic this year. Why? Because they have one player by the name of Josiah Lamarque, who I actually covered in high school, and he was actually 1 touchdown away from tying I think it was either tying or surpassing the all-time school record at his high school, Newport Harbor High. So I wouldn't be surprised if Josiah Lamarque, a freshman, gets some reps, whether it's at wide receiver or kickoff return. So keep an eye on that name. But I'm excited for this. So UCLA is at Hawaii. Hawaii does have a game under its belt, while UCLA is traveling to a different time zone to play the Rainbow Warriors. San Diego State, it kind of goes without saying. I think they should be fine. Texas A&M Commerce is actually an FBS school, so I don't think San Diego State, even though they have milquetoast offense, they shouldn't be worrying too much. Now, my biggest concern is USC versus LSU. I think USC could win this game. I think they have a possibility of winning this game. I mean, LSU is basically starting off the post Jaden Daniels era. So it still remains to be seen on if LSU is going to be the same LSU from last year or if they'll take a step back. Meanwhile, USC is in their first full year of the post Caleb Williams era not first full year, but they already played. Caleb Williams didn't play in that last game in the San Diego Bowl, but I digress. So it's Miller Moss's team. So I'm really interested to see what Miller Moss can do. USC obviously has released their depth chart, but I'm not that big of a depth chart guy. So all in all for USC, this is a big game right here for the Trojans. Right out the gate, they are literally facing a top 15 opponent. So it's sink or swim for those Trojans. All right, but here are my picks for this week. I got UCLA beating Hawaii 31-14. I got San Diego State beating Texas A&M Commerce 35-7. I got USC beating LSU 35-28, and I got Cal Poly defeating San Diego 28-17. Now, you're probably looking at this, and you're probably wondering, why is this man picking USC over LSU? I actually think with Miller Moss can lead this team to a victory. The defense is my only glaring concern for SC because that defense was not good when they played Louisville in the San Diego Bowl last year. The kicking game might actually be a bit of an issue because I think their kicker is a true freshman. But again, I don't know the depth chart off the top of my hand, off the top of my head. But that's my only biggest concern. Other than that, I think USC should be fine. I think LSU might be a little bit flustered on the post Jaden Daniels era. And I think USC is going to prove that they're much better than 23rd in the nation. And there's a reason why they were selected fifth in the Big Ten, courtesy of Cleveland.com. I think it was either fifth or sixth because Ohio State and Oregon were 1 and 2. I think Penn State was 3, Michigan was 4, Iowa was 5, and USC is 6. So yeah, USC was picked to finish 6th, which I don't agree with. I don't get how milquetoast offense Iowa deserves to be ranked higher. I mean, yes, Iowa has a better defense than USC, but I think USC is much deserving of being ranked higher in terms of the Big Ten online website coaches poll. So all in all, for USC, I expect big things. I really hope that they are able to get the job done, but it's going to be tough. They're obviously playing in Baton Rouge, and LSU is a very tough team. But we'll see what happens with LSU, USC, as well as all the other matchups. And for Cal Poly San Diego, I really think Cal Poly just has the edge over San Diego. I feel for some reason San Diego they just never have the answer for those Mustangs. I think Cal Poly is just too good of a team for those Toreros. I know San Diego has the home field advantage, but I just think Cal Poly has that it factor. They got that dog in them. And I just think they have the horses to basically surpass San Diego. No pun intended, because they're known as the Mustangs. But that will basically do it for my picks and for my reasoning. And Hawaii UCLA is self-explanatory. Even though UCLA is playing their first game and Hawaii is playing their second game, I just think UCLA talent-wise should be better. And then San Diego State, Texas A&M Commerce is a no-brainer. FCS versus FBS. No offense to FCS schools out there, but it's kind of a mismatch. If San Diego State loses, we got to relegate them because there's no way they should be that bad. But I digress. But that's going to do it for all of the college football discussion, as college football is back in terms of SoCal. So we're going to take ourselves a quick little commercial breaky break. When we come back, we're going to discuss a little bit of Dodgers as well as the Padres and Angels. Then we'll discuss a little bit of some MLS action. And then we've got the Dum Dum of the Week. Keep it locked here. You're listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this.
Hockey fans, I'm Adam Kernick.
And I'm Zach Puplis.
Together, we are the newest version of Hockey Talk on IE Sports Radio, The Neutral Zone.
Zone.
We love hockey, but we also know it's not everyone's first sport. So we want to make this show as much for new fans as for the diehards.
Whether you can name all the Swedes on the 08 Red Wings Stanley Cup team, or if you can't tell if Varlamov is a goalie or the latest trendy vodka, we're here to help. With facts, figures, and outrageous fans, we bring you all the hard-hitting hockey news you can handle, while still keeping it fun and on the rails. Well, mostly.
So tune in every week as we go around the hockey world, from college to Canada, the minors and the majors, and everywhere in between.
So bring your cellies.
And your one-timers.
You wicked wristas.
And be sure to protect your five-hole.
Catch the Neutral Zone every week on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
We promise not to pick on the Arizona Coyotes every episode.
Hello, ladies and sinners. Hello, sports fans around the world. Hello, IE Sports family. This is Cale Henderson, the host of IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio. If you folks are interested in sports in the Vegas area, if you're wanting to have a blast for 1 hour, every Tuesday night from 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, this is a show built for the Vegas sports fans, where we feature the Las Vegas Raiders, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the Las Vegas Aces, and the University of Las Vegas, Nevada Rebels. Hopefully, fingers crossed, MLB team coming soon. Either way, if you folks are looking to have a blast for 1 hour each and every week, tune in Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you folks are interested in Vegas sports news, go to our Twitter, at SinCities_IESR, and you can speak with me, the host, Cale Henderson, at Cale_Henderson on Twitter, at any time. Be happy to reply. Always willing to reach out to our fans. Again, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And we are back with the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely check out all of our amazing shows, such as Sin City Sports with Cale Henderson and The Neutral Zone, even though it is on hiatus. But definitely do check out all of our amazing shows here. All right, let's get back on into the second part of our show. So we got to talk a little bit of Dodgers action. So the Dodgers actually became the first team to reach 80 wins, and no one else has even surpassed 80 or has even crossed 80 wins. So at least not as of this point. But regardless, their win over the Baltimore Orioles was pretty impressive. They actually took 2 out of 3 against those Orioles, which I thought was pretty good right there, as they lead the NL West by 4 games, which I think is good, just because those Diamondbacks are actually tailing the Dodgers pretty nicely, if you ask me. So don't sleep on them anytime soon. But I think for the Dodgers, they obviously are the best team record wise, and they are proving themselves very nicely. I know the National League hasn't been the sharpest of tools this season, but at least the Dodgers are proving that they're still amongst some of the best. My only concern is, can they stay healthy? If they could stay healthy, then, because obviously losing Tyler Glasnow was obviously sucky, but there were rumors saying that Tyler Glasnow might, hence the word might, return this season. And hopefully for the Dodgers' sake, they can get Tyler Glasnow. They need all of the pitching they can get. They can't just have Clayton Kershaw and Shohei Ohtani will this team to the finish line. It doesn't work that way. So I think for the Dodgers, it's all about attrition and winning the games that they should be winning, because if they don't, then they're pretty much all but screwed. So that is pretty much that for I wouldn't say that is pretty much that for the Dodgers. That's that for their for the Dodgers in terms of all that is happening. Not all that is happening with them, but that's their week in review right there. They actually have a huge 4-game series against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Yes, they have a 4-game series against the Diamondbacks, which trailed the Dodgers by 4 games in the National League Wild Card or National League West. So my thing is, and if you all just heard Alden Kay's show, AZ Sports Zone, well, good for you. But he said that the Diamondbacks are not playing to their full potential. They're not at full strength. They're kind of licking their wounds just like the Dodgers are. But I still expect the Diamondbacks to come out swinging. I think this is going to be an intense series. And the Dodgers know that they can't afford to lose 3 out of 4, because if that happens, then the Diamondbacks will be nipping at the back of their feet in terms of the NL West. And they also got to keep an eye on the Padres, which I'll get into a little bit later. But I expect the Dodgers to really show up and show out. I really think if there's ever a time for the Dodgers to play a complete series in the regular season, now would be the time. Because if not, then those Diamondbacks are going to swoop in and take the NL West by storm. But I'm fairly confident in the Dodgers. I would expect them to win like 3 games. My bare minimum is 3 games. Maybe they'll split against the Diamondbacks. But I think winning 3 games would be so ideal for those Dodgers, just because 3 games against a talented Diamondback squad is so ideal. I mean, if they sweep the Diamondbacks, then that's an even bigger bonus, because then their lead over them will go to 4 or will go to 8 games. So their lead over the Diamondbacks in terms of the NL West will have doubled. So I expect a tough and rumble series when it comes to these two. I think for the Dodgers, I hope they don't get a big head if for some weird reason they somehow sweep the Diamondbacks. But I think for the Diamondbacks, you got to give them a lot of credit, just because they used to be one of the more teams. But I think they're now starting to become one of the more better teams, in my opinion. And I think that they're not going to play at their full potential, but they just need to play to the best that they can play. And then we'll see what happens with them, and we'll see what happens with the Dodgers. But the Dodgers just have to take care of what their own side. So I think this is going to be a very, very tough series, but than what most people give them credit for. But I think the Dodgers should be just fine, as long as they don't drop 1 too many games. All right, but that is kind of that for the Dodgers portion of the show right there. Jumping to the I was gonna hope this might do. I mean, but jumping over to the Padres side of things, try to get the exact color, but this might be the best I can do. Let's see if I can get it to the actual yellow or gold. That might be as close as it gets. That'll do. All right, but yeah, for the Padres, they've had some success. They're only 5 games back of the Dodgers, which is good. But the big thing is, even if they don't win the NL West, they still have a 2-game lead on the second NL wild card. If they can just maintain the consistency like they have been doing, I think they should be fine. I don't expect the Padres to win the NL West, but I expect them to make a big playoff push. And that would be quite something to have 3 teams from the same division all qualify for the playoffs. Knock on wood, hopefully for the Dodgers' sake, they are able to lock up the division. But the Padres, they could be a tough out. Like, this isn't the last year's Padres team. Now, the last year's Padres team obviously had the Fernando Tatis saga where he got hurt and then he got suspended and whatnot. But this is a whole different Padres team, and this seems to be a whole better and improved Padres team, and I hope for their sake they can clinch one of the wild card spots. If they can win the NL West, then that's an even bigger bonus. But honestly, they proved 2 years ago that winning the NL West doesn't mean all that much. Just because they were able to upset the Dodgers in the divisional round. So I think for the Padres, they're still doing good. This weekend they are playing the Tampa Bay Rays, which are certainly not one of the better teams in the MLB. So I think for the Padres, they should be fine. My big question is, who do the Padres cheer for in terms of the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks? Do they cheer for the Dodgers to try to surpass the Diamondbacks, or do they cheer for the Diamondbacks to try to get closer to the Dodgers? It's a food for thought question, if you ask me. But time will tell for the Padres. I've been impressed with the Padres this season. I hope that they can continue their consistency. I just feel that for their sake, I just hope they can maintain their attrition and that they're able to take on and take down some of the better teams in the National League. Because if they do, then they can hang with anybody, and they're a threat to anybody, whether it's the Dodgers, whether it's the Phillies, whether it's the Braves, whether it's anybody, or the Brewers. So that's that for the Padres right there. I think the Padres, I've been impressed with how they've improved from last year. And I hope for their sake they can continue their improvement. And who knows, maybe they can make another run for the World Series. But still a time will tell process. All right, but that is that for the for the Padres right there. Now for the dreadful team, the Angels. And I just got to say, this season has been a complete dumpster fire for the Angels. Because, newsflash, the Angels are really, 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 really bad. I don't even need to explain how bad the Angels are. They have the second worst record post All-Star break. You want to know who has the worst record? The White Sox. They also have the second worst record in the American League, ahead of the White Sox. And they also have the third worst record in the MLB, ahead of the Colorado Rockies and, you guessed it, those Chicago White Sox. I can't do this with the Angels anymore. I just can't do this. The Angels straight up stink. I know they just snapped their 8-game losing streak, but I do not care. They are horrible, bad, terrible. It's so sad that they have fallen this far down. This far down. I get it. Mike Trout is gone. The Angels just straight up stink. But this is just straight up bad. I'm surprised Ron Washington has patience. The dude has a patience of a saint. And I have to commend him for it, for still being the manager of this sorry ball club. But I will just say the Angels are just straight up, they're bad, dude. There's no better and bigger way to say it. They just straight up stink. And I'm sorry to everyone that are Angels fans, but Artie Moreno has to sell the team. This is just embarrassing. It makes me sick having to talk about those gosh dang Angels. It really sickens me to my core, and I really just don't want to talk about it anymore. They're not even. It's a miracle that they're not even eliminated from playoff contention. But the funny thing is that one of my friends who is an Angels fan, he says the Angels are losing quite a bit of games. They better string together some wins if they want to make the playoffs or have a deep playoff run. That's putting it optimistically. If the Angels are nowhere near close to a playoff spot, at least they'll have a top 5 pick or something of that sort, albeit they don't trade it or they don't mess up on the pick. But oh my God, this is so embarrassing. I mean, there has to be something of a bright spot for the Angels. Maybe Logan O'Hoppe, maybe sweeping the Padres. I don't know. There's got to be some sort of bright spot when it comes to the Angels this season, but they're just bad, dude. This isn't even funny anymore. The Angels are so bad, they should be paying fans to attend their home games. That's how bad they are. The Angels are so bad that they need to find better ways to make this droll season brighter. Like, half price everything. I'm sorry, but it's just how I feel when it comes to the Angels. I mean, I grew up liking the Angels. That 2002 team was obviously special, but ever since then, they haven't been able to do squat diddly. They've wasted Mike Trout's year. They let Shohei Ohtani slip through their fingers down the 405. And they are clearly the worst team in Southern California in terms of the MLB. The Dodgers are, even though the Dodgers are choke artists in terms of the playoffs, they at least make the playoffs. And the Padres still, even though last year was a wash, they still finished 500. That was still pretty impressive right there. The fact that they went on a late run in the season to finish 500, despite all the Fernando Tatis drama and whatnot. So think about it, Artie Moreno. Your team stinks. Not even your fans want to tolerate you. All right, but that is that for the Angels portion of the show. I really don't need to tell you all how much I really feel about the Angels. They make me so angry. And no, I am not putting up that thumbs up. That's how I feel when it comes to the Angels. I'm giving them the thumbs down. Anyway, before I lose my mind, that's going to do it for the Angels portion of the show. I hope you like that ticker down below where it says Newsflash. Angels are really, 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 really bad. But that's going to do it for the Angels portion of the show. We're going to take one last commercial break. When we come back, we got some MLS to discuss with LAFC and the LA Galaxy. And then we have the Dum Dum of the Week. Keep it locked here. You were listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this.
What's up, New York? This is Ricky K coming at you at the NY State of Sports, a new show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Listen to me every Thursday afternoon as we bring you the latest takes on the Yankees, Mets, Jets, Giants, Knicks, Nets, Rangers, Devils, and Islanders. Plus, you get some college hoops and what's the local sports events going on in the area. It's a state that never sleeps, so why not get the opinions and sports takes that never sleep? Again, every Thursday, 2 p.m. to the NY State of Sports. We'll see you then.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, white tea. We're coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And we are back with the final portion of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely check out those amazing shows such as NY State of Sports, which actually just celebrated its 50th episode. Also check out my boy Marcus Los Great. Hope to get him back on the air sooner rather than later. But let's get on into this final portion of the show. Then I'll send you all on your way because I got to get me out of here for my second job. Anyway, I digress. So, LAFC is back in action this weekend in terms of MLS play, but they actually played in the Leagues Cup final. Unfortunately for them, they fell to the Columbus Crew 3-1. That seems to be the team that seems to be the thorn in their sides. And I really am bummed about it. So, I think for LAFC, they gave it their all against Columbus Crew. It was also a rematch of last year's MLS Cup. But through 90 minutes, LAFC and the Columbus Crew were even at 1-1. And LAFC was giving them everything that they could handle. Unfortunately for LAFC, they forgot that extra time is a thing, which they should know already because that was kind of how they wound up beating the Philadelphia Union a couple years ago in the MLS Cup final. But for LAFC, they allowed 2 goals in the span of 2 minutes. In the 92nd minute, Columbus Crew scored. And then 2 minutes after that, Columbus Crew scored again. So that's how the LAFC wound up losing 3-1 to Columbus Crew. But the final score doesn't dictate how really tough LAFC played. I think LAFC played Columbus Crew tough to the best of their ability. And it's all about, I know this isn't a moral victory, but honestly, it's a mid-season tournament. I mean, yes, you get to hang the banner, kind of like how the Lakers did with their mid-season tournament, but I think it would have been awesome to see LAFC win the Leagues Cup. Last year, unfortunately, they lost the Leagues Cup to Tigres, but I think for LAFC, they should be fine going forward in terms of the MLS portion of their schedule. And they don't have too much in terms of their midseason tournaments. They do have another midseason tournament that they're still having to continue on with, as they actually beat the Seattle Sounders in the semifinals of the U.S. Open Cup on Wednesday, 1-0. So that was a nice win right there. Seattle is a very good team, and they're actually one of the rivals of LAFC. So I think for LAFC, that's a nice feather in their cap that they were able to pull out that win. Now it's just all about staying consistent, as they actually are into the finals of the U.S. Open Cup, as they'll actually play Sporting KC in the final on Wednesday, September 25th at 7:30 p.m. at BMO Stadium. So yeah, home game, and this one's going to be a barn burner. If you're in the LA area, I'd suggest going to that, because I'm sure it's going to be rocking with LAFC fans. So I think for LAFC, obviously they have a chance for redemption. Sporting KC isn't really the best of teams, but you never know. I think they might be finding their footing. Time will tell. It's a time will tell process right there for LAFC. That's not for another month, though, or less than a month, as today is the 29th, the 30th as of this recording. So they still have about less than a month away before that whole thing begins. But for LAFC, they actually are back in action in terms of MLS play this tomorrow, as they host the Houston Dynamo at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, and it's their first match since July before the Olympic break. So LAFC, even though they haven't really played an MLS match, they obviously are going to be playing a lot of good. They're obviously not going to be rusty. They face a lot of stiff competition. So if I'm LAFC, I really got to put behind the loss to Columbus Crew. They obviously did that against the Seattle Sounders, but they obviously have to look in front of them in terms of the MLS. They are still the second best team in the Western Conference, behind everyone's favorite LA team from the MLS, but I digress. So LAFC is doing a fantastic job, and the reason why LAFC is the second best team in the MLS and not the first best team is because the team ahead of them has played more matches than them, but more on that a little bit later. So good job to the LAFC on their accomplishments, and I'm hoping for the best for them going forward. So now we jump on over to the LA Galaxy. Let's switcheroo our color to a little royal blue. That's purple. There we go. There's the royal blue. And let's get rid of this ticker right here. Ba-bam. So now, as for the LA Galaxy, they obviously don't have the luxury of playing in mid-season tournaments like LAFC does. However, they actually returned to action, MLS play action against Atlanta United last Saturday, where they wound up winning 2-0 to remain in first place, which I think is good. Good job to the LA Galaxy. And what really has impressed me is Ricard Puig, who continues to be such a stud for the Galaxy. He had one of the LA Galaxy goals, and it's great to see the Galaxy continuing their winning ways. I think for them, it's so incredible that they have gone from one of the worst teams in the MLS to one of the best teams, and I think it's astounding, if you ask me. And I hope that they can continue their winning ways. I think it would be awesome if they did so, because the fact that they are free from Chris Klein, and I'm going to continue to say this, the fact that they are free from the clutches of Chris Klein is straight up. Oh no, not this again. The fact that the Galaxy are free from the clutches of Chris Klein is absolutely amazing, and I could not be more happy for the Galaxy. And I hope that they can continue to win, just because the Galaxy have drastically improved from last year. And I hope, for their sake, they don't trip up in the playoffs. Because honestly, I think everyone that's a Galaxy fan in Los Angeles, or anyone that's a Galaxy fan in general, would love to see the Galaxy win an MLS Cup. Because LAFC, even though they have made it to the last two MLS Cups where they wound up winning one and losing one, I think it's high time the Galaxy take back the city, and it's high time the Galaxy prove to everyone who truly is the MLS's soccer team in Los Angeles. Not that I'm hating on LAFC. I think LAFC has done great making it a rivalry and making their name well known, unlike the Clippers, and the Chargers. But for the Galaxy, they know they are the true big brother. They know that they need to do what needs to be done in terms of winning and being the top dog in terms of the SoCal supremacy in MLS. So we'll see what happens going forward, and I hope for the Galaxy's sake they can continue their winning ways. I think they are doing a fantastic job. Like I mentioned, Ricard Puig is great. The new general manager is great for the Galaxy, and I hope for their sake they are not going to slow down by any means. And speaking of LA Galaxy, this news actually came up not last week, but a week ago after I did my show. So former LA Galaxy star Landon Donovan is now the new interim coach or the new head coach for the San Diego Wave. I can't believe it either. San Diego Wave FC has found their new head coach in Landon Donovan. This news was just, to me. So I don't know how to really feel about this. San Diego fans are actually irate at this. They are not happy with this. I think it's a great hiring. If they make the playoffs and Donovan and the players buy into Donovan, I think this can be a great hire. I think fans need to just chill the frick out and stop putting their San Diego bias ahead of everything. Because last I checked, San Diego is a loser town, unfortunately, in terms of sports. Beautiful beaches, yes, and beautiful everything else, yes. But in terms of sports, they are, they're not that great, unfortunately. They've had multiple chances of winning championships, whether it's in terms of the NFL, whether it's in terms of the MLB, whether it's with the NBA. They have not won a professional championship in terms of sports, a professional sports championship. And I'm sorry, but this is the truth. So why not have some winning ways come to the San Diego Wave FC and come to San Diego and have them take the sports world by storm? Give Landon Donovan a chance, San Diego Wave FC fans. That's all I'm asking you. Just please give him a chance. All right, but that's going to basically do it for the Galaxy and soccer portion of the show. I know I'm a little behind in terms of the NWSL. I'm hoping I can get back on track regarding that. I know there's just a lot of SoCal sports to cover in a short amount of time. And I don't know what I'm going to do when NFL and college football season gets full in the swing. But I promise you all, I should not be into that 90-minute range, or aka an hour and a half. I know I went like 75 minutes with set point on Monday, but there was a lot to talk about in volleyball. But I digress. All right, but that is going to do it for the MLS and soccer portion of the show. Before we get on out of here, we have to go over the Dum Dum of the Week. So Dum Dum of the Week is an award I like to give out to when it comes to anybody that says or does something dumb. No one is safe from this award. And I have two dum dums of the week that I have to give out to, and this one, it kind of has a little bit of a somber note right here. And I didn't want to believe this news, but unfortunately, for those that have seen the news in terms of the hockey world, they lost a true, not only great hockey player, but a great human being as well. Today, unfortunately, Johnny Gaudreau and his brother Matthew passed away. Gaudreau was 31 years old, and I think Matthew was 34. If not, it's vice versa. But Johnny Gaudreau was a standout for the Columbus Blue Jackets. He was the beacon of light for that team. And for the Blue Jackets, they were still trying to get over the passing of another former player, and now they have to deal with this. I'm crushed for the entire Columbus Blue Jackets organization. And Jen B, thank you for correcting me. She says that Johnny Gaudreau was 29. So my bad. I wasn't doing my math correctly. But Johnny Gaudreau was only 29, and I felt the same way too. I feel heartbroken. And the sad thing is that he still had a great life to live when it came to the not just because of his hockey career, but his life in general, his family. I think he leaves behind a wife and 2 kids, which really, 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 really breaks my heart. And I feel so, so, so sad for the family and whatnot. And my heart and my thoughts and prayers goes out to the Gaudreau family. And okay, Jen B clarifies it. Matthew was 29, Johnny was 31. Okay, thank you, Jen B. So I appreciate you clarifying that, Jen. I'm sorry to everybody, but this is just so saddening, and I feel really, really, really sad for the Gaudreau family. I feel bad for all of Columbus. And Jen B also adds that Matthew's wife is pregnant, so that just adds a whole lot worse to this whole thing. And it really just makes me sad that this whole thing had to happen to 2 really good people. And I just feel horrible for all of the city of Columbus, and for all the Columbus crew. So my heart, thoughts, and prayers go out to the Columbus crew, the city of Columbus, Gaudreau's family, and everybody that's involved in all of Matthew and Johnny's friends and family. So it just really makes me sad. And the even sadder thing is, well, maybe this isn't as sad as the whole leaving behind wife and kids and whatnot. They were going to be bridesmaids for someone's wedding. I'm not sure of the full whereabouts, but they were supposed to be the brides. I'm not too good with like wedding terminology, but they were supposed to be like bridesmaids and whatnot. I'm not sure, but they were supposed to attend a big wedding, and this just really broke my heart when I saw that news. It's like, instead of celebrating a wedding, they now have to commemorate the life of those 2, and it really groomsmen. Thank you, Jen B. Jen B is coming in clutch. They're supposed to be the groomsmen of an up and coming wedding. So thank you, Jen B. So Matthew and Johnny were supposed to be the groomsmen of an up and coming wedding. It was their sister's wedding, according to Jen B. So thank you for that. This whole news just really had me at a shock. And you're probably wondering, well, what does this have to do with being a dum-dum? Well, the person that unfortunately killed these 2 was Sean M. Higgins. And I'm just going to say, for those that have a sensitive heart, you might want to turn this down. How Matthew and Johnny passed away was, unfortunately, Sean M. Higgins sadly killed the both of them as he was driving drunk. I don't know how to explain this, but for the love of all that is holy, please do not drink and drive. Please do. If you're not feeling up to driving, do not drive buzzed. Just get an Uber, get a cab. The life of someone cannot compare to the price of Uber or Lyft or anything of that sort. So please, for all that is holy. Mike Pat says it best on his show, Let's Whine About DMV Sports, which will be going live later on today in about maybe 2 or so hours. You can afford a DUI before you can afford, you can afford an Uber and a Lyft before you can afford a DUI. So please, for the love of all that is holy, for those that are celebrating the Labor Day weekend, for all that is holy and good, please, please, please do not get behind the wheel if you are buzzed, if you are drunk, if you are anything. If you are not able to drive properly and perfectly, please just do not get behind the wheel. I assure you that. And please don't take anyone's life. So let's have ourselves a quick moment of silence for Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau. Thank you. May Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau rest in everlasting peace, and may the family and friends and all of Columbus find peace. But I'm not even going to give Sean M. Higgins, the one that killed the brothers, the dum-dum of the week sound effect or anything of that sort. It's just bad, and I hope to all that is holy, they throw the book at him. Just please, please, please do the right thing. Columbus or any sort of police department who are basically charging this guy. So please, just please. All right, but that is Dum Dum of the Week number 1. I obviously can't end this on a somber note. I really just don't want to. No, I'm not crying. I'm not crying, everybody. I as somber as this whole thing is, I just don't want to cry in front of y'all. But let's end this on a little bit of a happier note, a little bit of a more, I wouldn't say positive note. Oh, yeah. Now my eyes are starting to not well up, but kind of get a little teary-eyed. And yes, New Jersey Police Department, please book Sean M. Higgins. Throw the book at him. Give him life in prison. Just give him life in the slammer. Just please don't let this man get behind a wheel ever, ever, ever again. All right. But on that note, let's get on into Dum Dum of the Week number 2. So I wouldn't necessarily call this dumb, but I just gotta say, Florida State, how did you mess up last week in college football? I know y'all know that I am the co-host of 3 and Out College Edition, but Florida State was ranked number 10. They lost to Georgia Tech. Now, I know it's any given week when it comes to college football or any football in general, but how do you wind up losing to Georgia Tech? Tech isn't even one of the better teams of the ACC, and you wound up losing to them? But I got to laugh at Florida State for straight up losing to Georgia Tech. I don't know how. I don't know why. I feel silly for picking Florida State. If I had known Florida State was going to be that bad, I would have never picked them on 3 and Out College Edition. Unfortunately, they did. And the sad thing is, Florida State has former St. John Bosco legend DJ Uiagalelei, who has literally been going back and forth with colleges. Like, the dude started out at Clemson. He was supposed to be the successor for Trevor Lawrence. Then he unfortunately got ran out of town. He then moved on to Oregon State. He was supposed to go to Oregon, but then he chose Oregon State, got ran out of town there, and now he is at Florida State, which unfortunately, dude straight up, I don't want to say he's going to do bad, but dude literally laid a goose egg for Florida State. And I like DJ Uiagalelei. I love Big Dave. But that was sad right there. Last week was just straight up sad. And I don't want to take a crap on DJ Uiagalelei, but Florida State's defense is the biggest liability ever. You couldn't stop the run game against a team like that. You're not a contender. You are not an ACC contender. You are not a contender to win the national championship. Not even the expanded playoff bracket can save you now, Florida State. And just for that, you are Dum Dum of the Week number 2. And this time, I'm not going to hold back. Y'all are going to get some funny sound effects. Ladies and gentlemen, let's do this.
Oh, come on! Oh, come on! Oh, come on!
And yeah, I'm just disappointing. I'm just disappointed by Florida State. And one more for their defense that literally could not stop the run against Georgia Tech. Florida State, you never cease to disappoint. No wonder the playoff committee left you off. I wouldn't want you near the playoff committee with a 39.5-foot pole. All right, but now on that note, that's going to do it for the Dum Dum of the Week. Jen B actually says, don't worry, I'll cry for all of us in my show tomorrow. Yeah, okay, so I guess Show of the Land is going to be going live tomorrow, and I hope to catch it. I should be able to, unless she's going live at 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern, which I don't see the logic in that. But hopefully I will be able to catch Show of the Land. I'm sure it's going to be a somber show just because of the whole Johnny and Matthew Goodrow passing. But thank you, Jen B. But on that note, that's going to do it for this week's episode of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning into this week's show. If you listen live, I appreciate you. If you listen on the playback, I appreciate you. If you listen at work, I appreciate you. If you listen at any time, any place, anywhere, I appreciate you. Shout out to Jen B that popped into the chat room. It really means a lot. And then also shout out to Chad Schrader for also subscribing to iSports Radio in the YouTube page. Thank you very much. And shout out to Mikey Two Guns and Ralph Calise. I almost forgot about Ralph Calise. Thank you for popping in and also your well wishes when I was sick last week. I promise you all that should never happen again. And I hesitate to think that it was vertigo, but I mean, I was dizzy and I did vomit, so probably was vertigo. If not, I inhaled some toxic construction fumes near my job and whatnot, just because I kind of do have sensitive smell and a little bit of a sensitive immune system, but I digress. But for everyone here at iSports Radio, this is Teran Rodriguez signing off. I'm not sure if I'll be live next week. If anything, I might be live on Wednesday, but we'll see what happens. I hope to be live just because I'm going to be plenty busy, especially with Set Point. You're going to see what's what I've got cooking for Set Point. But for everyone here at iSports Radio, this is Teran Rodriguez signing off. Have a great rest of the weekend. Enjoy the Labor Day weekend. Be safe. And for the love of all that is holy, do not drink and drive. I'll see you all next week for either this show or Set Point. Have a great weekend, everybody. Peace!